Procedural issues. The recording of this meeting is being made shall be kept for 30 days as public record. Mr. Benjamin.
Ready? Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are all here. Approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
With the corrections to the personnel.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, sorry. Reports. Caldwell, Florida.
Coming.
Maybe I have to start.
There we go, great. Well, thank you everybody for allowing me to come and make a presentation here. What we're doing today is what we call our wrap-up presentation. And what that is just to go over the final terms and be able to ask, or for you to ask any questions about your bond sale. The bond sale has been complete, and again, this is just to do what we call a wrap-up. Okay, so again, a review of kind of what we've done. November 4th of last year, you had your bond authorization, your voter approval, approximately $28.4 million. Then over the next steps here, starting March 10th, we selected the finance team. We had Stiefel Nicholas was the underwriter, and then we had Nixon Peabody as bond counsel. Those are the two main players in addition to Caldwell Flores winners. The three of us make what we call our finance team. We met with the rating agencies on April 13th in order to procure a rating on the bonds. And then on April 15th, that was actually the last time I was here, that's when we approved all the documents. On May 13th, we established what we considered a preliminary loan structure and allowed the underwriter to go into the bond market to procure the money and sell the bonds. The following day, they were successful. They sold the $10 million. And then after that, it takes about 2 weeks to ink the deal. And so on May 27th, we closed the transaction, and you got your money, and you guys were raring to go. So just to talk about some of the key things here, the credit rating, we did, like I said, on April 13th. We had a teleconference with both the superintendent and the CBO, and we kind of went over the economic profile. That meeting or the call went really, really well. You got an A+ rating with a stable outlook, and they were really looking at the fact that you have growing ADA, strong management, and strong underlying economics. Everything had remained pretty much intact from the last time we had been to the rating agencies. And again, the good rating ended up with allowing you to enter the market and have a relatively low borrowing cost. So how the sale really did transpire here, like I said, on May 13th, we do use a very large group. When we go into the market, we want to get a lot of input in to look at the structure of the bonds. The structure of the bonds have a variety of maturities, serialization of those maturities, as well as some term bonds. We invite the county to come in and look at the structure. They do have some oversight in that they like to review whenever there are taxpayer dollars being used. So we invite them to participate in the pre-pricing call. Ourselves, we have people from the underwriter, Piper Jaffray, and then we also have your staff on board. So we all get together on a call, we look at what Piper is actually proposing, and then at the end of the call, collectively, we kind of look at it ourselves as your financial advisor. We look and we make sure that that deal is a market deal, and we make the recommendation to staff as ours to direct the underwriting team to go out and try to sell the bonds. The following morning, the bonds went into the marketplace. They were able to be sold. The structure, we've made some modifications to it, worked very closely with your staff. And as a result of some minor changes, we got some improvements in the interest rate. At the end of that order period, there were approximately $1.44 million of bonds. About 14% of the transaction did not sell right away. And in that case, what happens is Piper Jaffray, as your underwriter, purchases those bonds, and then they're sold in the marketplace later on. They take the risk of that sale, but you get the interest rate that was promised to you the day before in the pre-pricing. That's why it's always important for you to have a good counterparty when it comes to your underwriter, Piper Jaffray, for example. In this case, so when we select them, we look at their capital base to make sure that when there are some unsold bonds, they have the ability to do that. That's an important component of the analysis when you're looking at that. Because if they were unable to do that, then maybe the price that we were offered, we'd have to maybe try to sell them again, or you'd have maybe an unsuccessful sale in this case. So it is common that some are not sold. It just depends on what the investor demand is that specific day. So again, to look at where your rates were at this time, it was, I think, a good time to get in the market. Since we went into the market, rates have gone up probably another 25 basis points. So I think we did the right thing. Historically speaking, you were still at a very low point. So you're going to find, I'm going to go over the interest rates here in a minute, but you did very, very well. So the key statistics here, you successfully sold $10 million of GO bonds. We generated about $293,000 in premium, and that went to pay some interest into the interest fund, as well as some of the fees associated with the underwriting. The bonds were sold as all current interest bonds. You have no capital appreciation bonds. The bonds have a term of 25 years. Here is the real, I think, big takeaway for you. You had an average interest rate of the bonds of a 3.97. So under 4%, 25-year money, probably one of the lowest interest rates that you have in your entire portfolio of other bonds that you've issued. The overall debt repayment ratio, 1.72. That's excellent. That means for every dollar you borrow, you're paying back 1.72. The limit of what's considered up to a normal amount would be 4 to 1, 4 times. That's what the state deems as being, anything above that is excessive and not acceptable. So you're under kind of that threshold. I'm seeing most debt repayments for most school districts right now coming in at around a 2.1 is kind of the range you're seeing. It. Why are you a little on the less side? You went 25 years, which is good. So you're a little bit shorter term, that kind of cuts that down. You had an A+ rating. A lot of our districts are in the A category. So a little bit higher rating, a little bit better structure, and then you're able to get this good repayment ratio. You paid some of the proceeds, some of the cost of issuance out of proceeds. That is a convention that's used most of the time. And as a result, you ended up with a net deposit of $9.785 million. So on that, I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Yeah, again, it was a successful sale. I do want to just take a moment to really say how nice it was to work with your staff. Your staff takes a very active role when we do financings. I work with a variety of districts. Some are less involved, some are a little more involved, but your team they understand the structure, and it was a great pleasure to work with them. They made the execution of this transaction go very, very smoothly. So I would like to congratulate both Pete and Jeff in that. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions for you, and I'll let you know that we're here to do your next issuance when the time comes. Yes. Great. Great, well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
That was easy.
Board member.
Welcome. I don't have a very big audience, but thanks for coming. I know we're starting summer, okay, we're starting school vacation. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
Mr. Rose.
I have the same thing as Mrs. Kirk. And I personally would like to thank the district, especially Ms. Capsola and Mr. Weinstein for allowing us to use this boardroom, being AYSO. This year, to move into the 21st century, we needed Wi-Fi. We're doing everything online now. So, Siobhan. And it's a different beast, and even though some of us or a lot of us are computer savvy, it's still kind of tricky, you know, getting in there and looking around and getting your stuff. So we couldn't have done it without you guys. Thank you very much. And our last sign-ups will be Saturday. And so, but I thank you for that, and for everything that came with it. Thank you. And I won't lose the keys, I promise.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Mr. Gutierrez.
I don't know what to say. There's nobody in the audience to really
Well,
say
thanks, Mario.
I'm-
Wow.
Should I give a shout out? There's hardly anybody here. Off to another good year.
Mr. Stark.
Siobhan, thank you for coming. Mr. Johnson, thank you for coming. Mr. Coleman, this is highly irregular. Having you during the summertime, you're like not sporting it on a golf course right now. What's going on?
No, I'm here during the summer. Somebody's gotta watch you guys.
We gotta watch him. She's not doing a very good enough job right now, I guess, or something. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for coming out. Congratulations to the A's for sweeping the Tigers
Yeah, thank you.
and Detroit.
It was wonderful.
4 games.
Right after the Angels swept us. It was great.
Hope everyone's having a wonderful summer. And with that, Mr. Coleman.
I was having a wonderful summer until a 7-game losing streak. And being that it's summer, if the board doesn't mind, I'll just stay here for my report, if that's okay with you guys. Just a few quick items tonight. The district has discussed a benefits unification proposal with RTA, and I believe with CSEA as well. And RTA is very much in favor of this program. It improves our benefits plan to something much closer to what RTA had proposed in negotiations back a year ago. So we were happy about that. It offers teachers greater flexibility in choices with the benefits plan, and it improves the dental coverage, which we were happy to see as well. I've described the proposal to the teachers, and all of the feedback I've received has been positive, so I'm sure that's being discussed with the board as well. I've asked the district to develop a memorandum of understanding on the proposal, because it is something that would need to be part of the contract and would need to be voted on by the members. But I'm confident that once we have that, it would be something that the membership would support almost, if not completely unanimously, and I'd like to do that when we get everybody back together in August and have that vote right away. So if it's something the district and the board can finalize during the summer, we'd be ready to vote on that right away in August and put it in place for this upcoming year. Secondly, unfortunately though, RTA is having to file a grievance regarding the denial of a teacher to be rehired as the boys' head basketball coach. So RTA is asking the district and the board to not take any action on that particular position until we have a chance to settle that grievance. And then lastly, personally, I recommend that the board approve the hiring of the middle school athletic coordinator, which is on tonight's agenda. I believe it's item 7A, so you may want to approve that one with all of the others as well. But no, I'll be here most of the time you guys have a meeting during the summer.
You know, Mr. Coleman, I must say, I'm going to talk about dental insurance. That's so important. I never knew, you know, I either gonna, one of my kids is either be a dentist or marry one. Because dental insurance it's mind-boggling. You know?
Yes.
When the dentist says, we can do it for this month if you pay the insurance, or if you pay me cash, I can, you know, so good dental insurance.
Well, yeah, we were pleased to see that it would finally include some sort of orthodontic program.
Right.
And I'm I'm sure the district's gonna repay me for everything I paid, the last several
You can
years.
retire.
You'll be first in line.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm the only one, but, no, something good for the rest of our members and all of the young teachers who are, have young families, down the road and in the future. We look forward to it.
Mr. Quillman, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Is there a basketball program going on during the summer?
Not a program that's connected
Where
with
they
the
can-
high school.
Okay. So if we were to not take action on this tonight, so,
It's not on tonight's
Okay.
board
It's
agenda.
not on yet.
that's what,
Right, what I'm saying is we're requesting that
Okay.
no action be taken until the grievance is settled.
that was my next question. I didn't see it on here. Did something surpass me? So
No,
Okay.
no, but
Thank you. I was
if it were to show up down the road.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That is it, thank you.
Comments from the public. Members of the public may address the board on any speaker to 3 minutes with a total of 20 minutes per topic. People wishing to speak on items that are on the board agenda will be called upon when that item is considered. People wishing to speak on items that are not on the board agenda will be called upon at this time. Since the board generally cannot take action on items not on the agenda, such items will be referred to the superintendent for handling. Ms. Siobhan.
Hi. Do you need a microphone or am I good enough here?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Mr. Weinstein and, oh gosh, boy, what a night to not have my contacts in. Pete, your last name is?
Van Busker.
Van Busker?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Siobhan Sladik. I grew up in Roseman. I've lived here since 1969. I live in the house I grew up in. Didn't move off the block, didn't even move around the corner. We remodeled our house. We took and knocked down the garage, made it into a dining room and kitchen and family room. Took the kitchen, made it into a second bathroom. We really moved uptown. So I understand the value of new construction. I understand the value of something new. I get it. I also understand the horrendous cost that goes with changing something midstream. We laughed. My husband and father did all of our work ourselves, and we always said it had to go to committee at lunch, and oftentimes it was changed again for the 49th time. And this is my ignorance, so I apologize straight up. When they said Roseman Elementary was preserved in the changeover of the new school, I assumed that meant the old buildings on this site. I did not realize that the district office was not included in that and did not know that until Friday. And that's my own ignorance. I fully recognize that. I just want to share a couple of thoughts with you. I don't know how many of you have ever driven across country, and it used to be that you could ride the old Route 66 and stop off at every mom and pop restaurant, and then you could ride the old Route 40, and you could still stop off at every mom and pop restaurant. I've stopped off at the corner of Winslow, Arizona, where there really is nothing much to see, but it's a great tourist stop. And now you go through and there's just, one McDonald's, one Walmart after another, and there's really not a whole lot of purpose in stopping off. It is the small town stuff that makes you stop. I've never stopped at a Walmart that says Walmart coming. I stopped off at a corner in Winslow, Arizona. That district office, for a lot of people that went to school in Roseman, is our Winslow, Arizona. Not a whole lot to see. It's a corner in the middle of nowhere, going nowhere, doing nothing, but it's our corner. It's our little piece of history. And with the demolition of that, we lose something. We lose a part of that. And I emailed Craig Westfall, who emailed Mike Richardson. I've been in contact with Ina Scott in Italy. I've been in contact with Gretchen Winfrey, who just came back from the Panama Canal. And I've been in contact with Reggie Graves, who was in Texas at his niece's graduation. And with the old timers alarm has come up these things, and I would just like to read a little bit to you. It said, Mr. Lawson was the last superintendent to actually live in the house on the corner. It was the superintendent's home. They lived there. And they lived in there in the 50s and up until the 60s. And when Lawson left, a man by the name of Mashburn became superintendent. But he was only around for about a year and a half, Jeff. Skipped out, left the district in a mess. He never lived in that house. Mark Saline became the president, forcing the district into change, and Wanda Kirk to become the principal of Roseman Elementary School, which the local library is named after. And it thus freed up a job for Craig Westfall to be hired. He took Wanda Kirk's job. There is history there, and that history is important. There are many old-timers that were not aware of this. We were all very ignorant and complacent, and we assumed that the saving of Roseman Elementary also included the district office. I would ask that you guys please wait until there is a little bit more of a chance to look into the historical aspect of the house. That at least there be a little bit more input from the old timers in town to take a look at that and see. And I realize that's asking a lot. I realize that. It's a tremendous thing to look at another set of plans or to say, you know, can we leave this corner untouched? And I realize that. I don't ask it lightly. I just went to my dad's 60th high school reunion in Utah. There are connections that are made in small towns. And even when you don't know the people, there are connections. And there was a woman by the name of Heather Checkley. I've never met her. Today she posted talking about the old Roseman house, or the old district house office. She said, "It stands for Roseman education. Those who came before and still come, the legacy of staff, teachers, past and present, that have, are, and will continue to impact our town." So I really ask that you please give that a reprieve, give it another look, allow for a little bit more community input. Thank you.
Thank you. On that note, what is construction due?
We are expected to break ground August 1st.
Thank you. Communications, Mr. Weinstein.
Speaking of construction, so our two construction items are going very well. The district office will be completed by July 22nd, and between July 22nd and August 1st, the district office will be moved into. West Park Field should be done within 2 weeks. All that we'll be waiting for is our water pump, and then we'll be able to drop the sod right after that. So that will also be pretty much ready to go. I would say that we'd be able to use it probably October 1st. We'd be able to open the gates and use it. We'll have a grand opening ceremony somewhere after the start of school. Yeah, giant scissors the whole bit. That's pretty much it. We're just a lot of maintenance and operations and stuff going on during the summer, as well as preparing for next year. And a lot of IT stuff, and his crew working very diligently on getting everything up to speed and creating our new elementary school platforms for the teachers, as well as ordering laptops so that all grades, 12th grade included, that will have one of the devices. So he's working real hard, and we're working on that. We're also very happy to announce, as we talked about a little earlier, our partnership with Overdrive, where we will have over 20,000 books and a digital library. So our libraries itself will no longer, in the secondary schools, will not have the hardcover books. There'll be no need for them. We will be moving to all digital library books, and kids will be able to check out library books 24 hours a day, right on their laptops, and be able to read whenever they would like to read, as well as when a teacher assigns a book, a class, whatever, they will get it right from a laptop on the library. So we're real excited about that too.
For communication purposes, for the board meetings, we had talked about putting you on rotation to the different schools. Are we going to have that for public?
Yes, so on June 17th, at the board meeting on June 17th, we will be giving the board a scheduled calendar of board meetings and the rotation schedule, and then at that board meeting, everybody will be able to, make any adjustments they see or do it. Like the boss was in charge of that, so I'll just see. So yeah, so we're going to each of the sites, and every site we will have meetings at each of the sites throughout the year, including on that. So there'll be 5 sites included.
Make a motion to approve all consent items, A3.
I'll say. All in favor?
Aye.
All personnel or accepted.
It has been an interesting number of weeks. The economy continues to do extremely well. The governor continues to have a very conservative outlook for his forecast, but when he introduced the most recent proposed budget, he threw in a gap percentage that went from 30% to 50% in 2014. So all school districts in the state of California were then directed that they needed to revise any budget estimates that they had to recognize this increase in funding. And, it's good news. It was done in 3 weeks, what you have to do. The challenge of this as well is we have to have this public meeting where we present to the public our proposed budget as well. And, in June, it's tough to have board meetings and everybody's trying to get away for the summer. So we're having this meeting today, and then any input from the board would be taken as well. Also, the governor actually will propose, or the budget will be approved June 15th. So if there were any changes in the budget proposed, and the legislature is proposing some new changes, I would need to update that for the 17th meeting. So that would be the date for our adopted budget. So what I have before you is a rather top-level look at the budget.
Make a motion to go to recess for a business meeting and open the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That way you continue the motion.
Okay.
Second.
Second.
Mrs. Ricketts. All in favor?
Aye. Continue, second.
No, that's fine.
19:30.
In the presentation here, we had already done the multi-year projections, and their cost estimates are good, but let's see, okay, there we go. So, in a sense, with the new LCFF formula and the new gap funding that the governor gave us, also he gave us some one-time funding. None of us had seen this. Essentially, Southern Kern is going to enjoy a $6 million increase in revenue that had not been anticipated in our prior estimates. This is primarily $4 million of ongoing funds and $2 million one-time funds. The $2 million one-time funds, it's revenue. He's not ready to recognize that as ongoing. He doesn't want to build it into the Prop 98. He wants to give it to the sites. There are absolutely no strings to this funding. We can use it as we wish. And what he's doing is he's using those funds to wipe out some of the mandated costs that have been built up out there that they're never going to fund. So it's a windfall for us. It's built into us. It's going to be building our reserves here. So, but that was a big change. In this ratio of our funding, we continue to get 8% of our funds coming from LCFF. Our federal and state funds continue as they have been. Here's a ratio of our 85% expense budget is compensation. We have pretty much consistent numbers on the certificated side, classified as well as benefits. And then here's just a grid of the information presented there for you. And again, these numbers, as we go forward with the budget being approved on the 15th, the 17th presentation may be slightly different. So this is what we can present to the public right now. As I was sitting here and we were talking about summer vacation, it's going to be a challenge for school boards and school districts up and down the state. We have to have a public and an adoption meeting. You don't have a lot of board meetings usually in the course of June, and you would need to really have them toward the end of the month. So it'll be a challenge. You know, we'll have to see how it goes. We were able to schedule with this one on the 17th. So I'm going to move on real quickly. There are two other aspects of the budget that we need to address. And I do have some more specifics about them, but with the Prop 30 taxation that was introduced a couple of years ago, and which was the sales tax as well as the tax on the higher income individuals, they're temporary taxes. They will be phasing out slowly. And Governor Brown proposed this, and it was basically an additional funding to help fund the state aid portion that goes to school districts. It's not any additional funds. It's called the Educational Protection Act. And we have to, as a board, address how we're going to spend this portion of our normal base grant funding. And we are going to spend that money as teacher salaries and benefits as part of our normal budget. And that has been what our consistent practice has been over the last 3 years. I will have a resolution here for you to sign, and then that's what we're going with our packet to indicate to our auditors that we have had this discussion, that this is a part of our base grant, and this is how we will pay. And since 40% of our salaries are certificated, it just makes sense that that would be our budget. Additionally, a new portion of this budget is the recognition of the reserve limits. And we have passed the resolution where we are, as a district, wishing to have the language where districts do not have to specify the 3% reserve or any additional show of reserves. But we do have to formally address the reserves that we are going to be seeing. And the county has provided a bit of a template for us to look at. And I'll go back to that. Oh, I'm sorry, can you pop me back to that schedule? I'm sorry, she's so fast. Just that last schedule. Okay, you can see at that very bottom line, the fund balance. This is our estimated fund balance, and you can see that we jumped with that additional $6 million. Our multi-year, we were pretty much spending what we were getting. Well, that bumps up our fund balance to $7.3 million right there. Our 3% reserve that is mandated by the state of California is essentially $1 million. So we have $6 million in our plan of reserve, and we need to formally recognize that with the public as well as our board meetings. And as I was reading, this is our first year we've had to do this, I was reading the language, and it was interesting. They kept saying it had to be the public meeting, but you don't really have your formal adopted budget until then. So we'll introduce it both times. So I just wanted to cover, those were the rough numbers that we have there. It is supporting, and Jeff's going to present the LCAP. This is going to be supporting the LCAP plan that we have been driving, as well as the input that we've received from the community. It is driving, the educational initiatives, the staffing that we are promoting. We get to look at the 12-13 level and look at what we have added since then, and we have had some tremendous things added to our curriculum program that we will add and we will document as being our supplemental concentration funding. And Jeff will have that included in his presentation. So again, I wanted to be a little bit brief, but it's excellent news for us. We're supporting a very rich program. We've got our benefits, we have our salary increases in there. We have our salary increases forecasted for next year, and then the following years are more step and column. But we're very fortunate that the economy continues to grow, and the governor has not. There's even more upside potentially, but he's been a little bit conservative. But it's a challenge for us to see. Hopefully, who knows what I might show you on 17th. I don't know if you have any questions. I have some handouts here. Like I said, we'll have you sign that one resolution on the EPA and you know, the reserve as well.
There's never been a special state without a loophole.
You know, that one time, no one believed it. No, and Jeff came in and told me it because he'd been to the superintendent meeting, and I'm like, what?
No, there's a catch.
Actually, he's just wiping out the mandated cost reimbursements.
The Prop 30
Yeah.
basically didn't even backfill. It was just to maintain us at that level.
Exactly.
That was originally a 2-year program, the original one that Schwarzenegger put in. It went out when Governor Brown went in. And Prop 30 is was that a 2-year or a 3-year?
Actually, there's 2 phases, and the sales tax is the one that's going to be ending in 2016.
Okay.
And then the higher income goes on for another year, and I have some
So
documentation.
within 3 years, that's gonna be phased out.
Well, and that's
So-
potential.
Well, it's gonna be, it probably will be phased out. We have to plan for it to be phased out.
Mhm.
So that extra money that we're getting, which is what we actually are supposed to get, we still haven't got. The $2 million he's gonna give us right away, that's scary. Because anytime the governor gives us a bonus for something, he's pulling the rug somewhere else.
Well, the legislative analyst office, they would like to have it be recognized as ongoing revenues. You know, and the governor is just very conservative there. He goes, you know what, I believe the money's there. I will give it as one time. Don't build the Prop 98 onto it. And, you know, and if it continued to be there, then he would have to recognize it. And they think there's might be a $3 billion upside to the budget that he's throwing out there.
But yet, in August, he took away all hardship funding.
Right. Well, actually, the school finance, he's been very consistent with his language. He had the initiatives that he was promoting, the rainy day and that high-speed train. He felt that any school bond facilities, they're shoe-ins, but there would be too many on the ballot. And he was not certain that they would all get voted in. So he was consistent. He never gave any indication, and there were a lot of people that pitched him some ideas, but he never once bit. Might come up now.